Imagine having absolutely nothing to do. No phone, no television, no Netflix, no video games, no internet. Now imagine that this isn't just one boring afternoon. It's your entire life. So here's the question nobody really asks. What did cavemen actually do for fun? Because ancient humans weren't spending every waking second hunting, building shelters, and looking for food. They had free time. And when they did, they played. They made music. They told stories. They danced. They created art. And some of the things they did for fun may have actually helped create human civilization. Life without entertainment. Today, boredom is almost impossible to escape. The moment you have nothing to do, you reach for your phone. You scroll. You watch a video. You play a game. You listen to music. Even standing in an elevator for 30 seconds can feel uncomfortable if there's nothing happening. But imagine removing all of that. No electricity, no screens, no books, no organized sports, no restaurants, no concerts. Just a group of humans sitting around a fire after the day's work is finished. What would they do? The answer is surprisingly familiar. They did many of the same things we still do today. They entertained each other. Interleague. Games. The first thing ancient humans probably did for fun was something children still do today. They played. Play is actually much older than civilization. Young animals play. Young primates chase each other, wrestle, climb, and compete. And humans took this behavior much further. For children, play wasn't just entertainment. It was practice. A child throwing stones was practicing accuracy. A child running was practicing movement. A child wrestling was learning how to fight without actually getting seriously hurt. A child pretending to hunt was learning the movements that might one day keep them alive. And adults played too. We don't have a prehistoric rulebook telling us exactly what games they played. But archaeology gives us clues. Objects that appear to have had no obvious survival purpose have been found at prehistoric sites. Pieces of bone, carved objects, small stones, decorated pieces. Some may have been tools, others may have been ornaments, and some may have been used for games. We can't always know for certain. But one thing is clear. Humans have been creating activities simply because they're enjoyable for an incredibly long time. And there's a reason for that. Play teaches the brain how to solve problems. It teaches coordination, competition, strategy, social rules, and cooperation. So what looked like fun may have also been training. They made music. Now imagine sitting beside a fire at night. The sun has disappeared. The animals are quiet. And there's nothing left to hunt. Someone starts tapping a rhythm. Another person joins. Someone begins humming. And suddenly, the group is making music. We know music is extremely ancient. One of the most famous examples is the discovery of prehistoric flutes in Europe. Some were made from bird bones and are tens of thousands of years old. Think about what that means. Someone took a bone, shaped it, created holes in exactly the right places, and figured out how to produce different sounds. They didn't do this because they needed a flute to survive. They did it because they wanted to make music, and music may have played a much bigger role in prehistoric life than entertainment alone. It could bring people together. It could help coordinate movement. It could be used during ceremonies. And it could create emotional bonds between people. In other words, the prehistoric equivalent of a Spotify playlist may have been sitting around the fire while someone played an instrument. They danced. If music existed, there's a very good chance dancing existed too. Unfortunately, dance leaves almost no archaeological evidence. A footprint disappears. A movement leaves no skeleton. So we can't point to a prehistoric fossil and say, this person definitely danced. But humans aren't the only species that use movement socially. And in human societies around the world, dancing appears again and again. People dance during celebrations, rituals, courtship, weddings, religious ceremonies, parties, and simply because it feels good. Our ancestors probably weren't standing around silently while music played. They were moving, jumping, clapping, spinning, copying each other, and laughing. They told stories. But perhaps the most important form of prehistoric entertainment wasn't music. It was storytelling. Imagine the group returning to camp after a long day. The fire is burning, everyone is eating, and one person starts talking. Maybe they tell a story about an animal they encountered. Maybe they describe a dangerous journey. Maybe they exaggerate what happened. Maybe they tell a story they've heard from someone else. And everyone listens. This might sound like simple entertainment, but storytelling was incredibly useful. A story could teach children where dangerous animals lived, where water could be found, which plants were safe, which areas were dangerous, who could be trusted, and what had happened to the group in the past. Instead of giving someone a list of instructions, you could give them a story. And stories are much easier to remember. This may be one reason humans became such extraordinary storytellers. Our ancestors didn't have books. Their memories were their libraries. And the people around the fire were the audience. They made art. Then there's something that is even harder to explain. Art. Humans have been creating things that appear to have had symbolic or aesthetic purposes for tens of thousands of years. Cave paintings, beads, pigments, carved objects, decorating, tools. Some of the most famous cave paintings show animals with incredible detail. Horses, lions, rhinoceroses, bison, and other animals that prehistoric humans knew intimately. But here's the interesting part. Some cave art is located deep inside caves, far away from sunlight, far away from the entrance. People had to carry sources of light into these dark spaces. They had to prepare pigments. They had to carefully apply them to the walls. This wasn't something you did in 5 minutes. It required time, planning, and imagination. And maybe it was fun. Maybe creating something beautiful was simply satisfying, just like it is for us. They decorated themselves. Ancient humans didn't only decorate caves. They decorated themselves. Beads made from shells, animal teeth, bones, pigments, ornaments. These objects could communicate identity, status, group membership, or simply personal style. Think about that. Long before modern fashion, humans were already asking, how do I want to look? You could spend hours making something completely unnecessary for survival because you liked it. That's entertainment. That's creativity. And that's very human. They joked, here's something we can never prove directly. But humans almost certainly laughed. Humor doesn't fossilize. You can't dig up an ancient skeleton and determine whether that person told terrible jokes. But laughter appears across human cultures. And social animals also play and tease each other. So imagine a group sitting around the fire. Someone imitates another person's hunting mistake. Everyone laughs. Someone exaggerates a story. More laughter. Someone makes a ridiculous face. The children start copying them. This is probably one of the oldest forms of entertainment on Earth. Making other people laugh. And there's something important about that. Humor creates social bonds. When people laugh together, they feel closer. They had free time. But here's the part that changes the entire story. For a long time, people imagined prehistoric humans as being constantly busy. Hunting, gathering, building, running, fighting, surviving. Every minute of every day. But research into modern hunter-gatherer societies has challenged this idea. Some hunter-gatherer groups spend surprisingly little time obtaining food, compared with the amount of free time modern people imagine they should have. Of course, ancient societies were incredibly diverse. We can't simply take the lifestyle of one modern group and assume every prehistoric human lived exactly the same way. But the basic lesson is important. Survival doesn't necessarily require working every waking hour. Once food was found, tools were made, and shelter was secure, there could be time left over. And what did humans do with that time? They socialized. They played. They created. They talked. They rested. The fire was the original entertainment center. Now imagine the perfect prehistoric evening. The sun goes down. The fire is burning. Food is cooking. Everyone gathers around. One person tells a story. Someone else starts making music. Children are playing nearby. People are laughing. Someone is repairing a tool. Someone is decorating an object. And someone is simply sitting there watching the flames. There is no television, but nobody necessarily feels like something is missing. Because the entertainment isn't coming from a screen. The entertainment is coming from the people. The fire isn't just a source of heat. It's a meeting place, a classroom, a kitchen, a theater, a concert hall, and a social network. All in one. They probably got bored too. But let's not romanticize it. Ancient humans almost certainly experienced boredom. There were probably long stretches of time when absolutely nothing interesting happened. A storm could trap a group inside. A hunt could fail. Food could be scarce. A journey could become repetitive. Someone could simply sit around thinking, what am I supposed to do now? And that's where something fascinating happens. Boredom can lead to creativity. When the brain doesn't have constant stimulation, it starts generating its own. A person sitting beside a fire might begin experimenting with a piece of bone. Another might scratch a pattern into a piece of wood. Someone might start humming. Someone else might tell a story. And eventually, those little experiments can become technology, art, music, culture. So what did cavemen actually do for fun? Probably much more than we give them credit for. They played. They made music. They danced. They told stories. They laughed. They created art. They decorated themselves. They explored. They spent time with friends and family. And they sat around fires doing absolutely nothing. Just like we do. The biggest difference wasn't that ancient humans didn't have entertainment. It was that they didn't have infinite entertainment. Today, whenever we're bored, we can instantly fill the silence. One swipe, one click, one notification, one more video. Ancient humans couldn't. And perhaps that forced them to create their own entertainment. Instead of consuming someone else's story, they told their own. Instead of watching music, they made it. Instead of playing a video game, they played with each other. Instead of watching art, they created it. So the next time you're sitting on your couch, scrolling through your phone, looking for something to watch, remember this. A human being 50,000 years ago could sit beside a fire with nothing but a few friends and somehow have a good night. They didn't have Netflix. They didn't have TikTok. They didn't have video games. They had a fire, a story, a song, and each other. And maybe that was enough.